Hello there. The Electoral Commission has been accused of double standards when it comes to investigating alleged election misdemeanours by Leavers when compared to those by Remainers. Conservative MP Priti Patel has accused the Electoral Commission of bias and double standards by investigating vote leave when there is little or no evidence, but not following up on allegations against the pro-Remain group Britain Stronger in Europe when there is clear and documented evidence, reports the political commentator Guid Fawkes. In a letter to the Electoral Commission, the MP for Witham writes, "Despite the fact that there is no evidence of Vote Leave Limited or Mr Grimes engaging in joint planning, even of an advisory nature, you have been persuaded of the need for a full investigation. However, when clear documented evidence of the Remain campaign's coordinating specific messaging is presented to you, this is dismissed as advisory. This would appear to be a clear case of double standards." And in her conclusions she writes, "I have to conclude that the Electoral Commission appears to have used an extraordinarily low bar, arguably far too low a bar, when deciding to open your new investigation on Vote Leave and other campaigners for Brexit, yet have set a very high bar when deciding to open an investigation into Britain Stronger in Europe. This is an extremely important matter, as it strikes at the heart of our democracy. How can there be even the slightest hint of bias within the establishment body that oversees our democratic procedures? And for an MP to write in such a manner shows that this organisation needs sweeping away and replacing with a body that is fit for purpose. If UK waters are not accessible by EU vessels, life will become very hard, said one French fisherman speaking to Al Jazeera. But 59% of a Scottish Fishermen's Federation poll want to see the UK take back immediate control of fishing grounds on Brexit Day. The EU Common Fisheries Policy has effectively joined all the waters around the EU into a single exclusive economic zone, which has adversely impacted the UK fishing industry, a situation that most people believe needs to be rectified at the earliest opportunity. As BritishSeaFishing.co.uk points out, from a British perspective, this shared EEZ can be seen as a very bad deal. In 2015, EU vessels caught 683,000 tonnes of fish worth £484 million in UK waters. But UK vessels only caught 111,000 tonnes worth £114 million revenue in EU member state waters. In parts of the Celtic Sea, which prior to the CFP would have been controlled by the UK, French fishermen have the right to catch 3 times more Dover sole and 4 times more cod than British fishermen. Around 40% of the Danish fishing fleet's total catch comes from the 200-mile zone which Britain would control if it was not in the CFP. And some Danish fishing communities rely entirely on catching fish within the bounds of what used to be Britain's territorial waters. Our coastal fishing communities had to give up so much for the benefit of others when we went in, and I remember reports of how hard that hit them at the time, so surely it is fair that they get the benefit back as we leave. A former Bank of France governor, Christian Noyer, has told the BBC that fears of the impact of Brexit on the city have been overblown. Talking to the BBC Radio 4's Today programme, he said, 20 years ago London was already the first financial centre, and Paris was much more important. Many banks had concentrated their forces in London, which had tens or sometimes hundreds of staff in Paris before. So if that goes back to where we were 20 years ago, it is not a catastrophe for the city. So much for the Remain claims that tumbleweed would be the only thing to be seen in the UK capital's financial centre after Brexit. The EU withdrawal bill has now passed all its common stages and has been passed across to be considered by the House of Lords. But the fun and games have not finished yet. Expect those peers to make its progress as laborious and as scrutinised as possible before the Queen gets to sign it into effect. And now the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Select Committee has demanded that Facebook widen its investigation into whether Russian trolls spread fake Brexit news prior to the EU referendum. The last investigation Facebook conducted found that the grand total of 70 pence had been spent on this by Russia's internet research agency, Troll Farm, but the committee is worried that there were further clusters of accounts that spread Brexit disinformation. Facebook said the company would carry out the work promptly to see if there was coordinated activity similar to that which was found in the US, where the presidential election was targeted with about $100,000 worth spent on 3,000 adverts. Writing in Brexit Central, the director of Universities UK International, Vivian Stern, says that Universities UK may have backed Remain, but they now want to embrace the opportunities of Brexit. Starting by talking about the post-referendum shock at the result, she goes on to explain how, when she was head of political affairs at Universities UK, she and her colleagues decided that it was their role to now make the best contribution they could to the success of Brexit. We hit the road, she writes, and organised a series of dialogues with our major partners in France, Germany, the Netherlands, Poland and Italy, seeking to understand all the options for post-Brexit collaboration, particularly in student exchange and research. And she went on to say that they started to look around outside the EU for opportunities. For example, within weeks of the vote, we established a working group with Australian university leaders to explore the potential for universities to benefit from future free trade agreements, and drew on their experience to inform our own understanding of the opportunities these might present. Now, I do applaud this sentiment and wish that there was far more of this across the establishment. But it also raises some very pertinent questions. Here we have a UK university group that has started to engage. But where was the UK engagement prior to the referendum? Did we not have people travelling the world looking for new opportunities back then? Did we just leave it all to the Eurocrats to sort all this out on our behalf? Or didn't we bother because we either didn't think it important or we didn't care? It sounds to me like we have become too insular in education, but where else does that extend into our establishment? Maybe Brexit is providing us with the collective national kick up the backside we needed. What do you think? Please leave a comment below. Thank you. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.